I want you to picture this. You're at 30,000 feet, somewhere in that, dull stretch between Buffalo and Dallas.
Right.
You've got your magazine out, tray table down, maybe hoping for a solid hour of sleep. But the guy in seat 5A, he has other plans.
Oh, no.
He doesn't want to chat about turbulence. He turns to you, dead serious, and drops this grenade of a question right in your lap. He says, "What happens to the love after you get married?"
That is a hell of a question to get from a stranger on a plane. And the context here really matters, right? This wasn't some philosophy student. This was a guy who had been married 3 times.
3 times.
Yeah.
And the tragedy was his story was the same every single time. He told the author, Gary Chapman, that before the wedding, everything was just electric.
The tingles.
The tingles, the excitement, that feeling like they were the only 2 people on Earth.
Yeah.
But then, the moment the honeymoon's over, the charge it evaporates every time.
And he goes from being in love to feeling, just absolute deadness or worse.
Resentment.
Which is the terrifying part. Here's this guy, successful, intelligent, runs a business, but he looks at Chapman and basically says, I'm an idiot when it comes to this. I just don't understand where the love goes.
And that desperation, I think, it sets the stage perfectly for what we're doing today. We are taking a deep dive into the 5 love languages by Gary Chapman.
Right.
But we aren't just going to list them off like some, online quiz. We need to figure out the answer to that passenger's question. Why does love disappear? And is it even possible to bring it back from the dead?
To answer that, we have to start with Chapman's core premise, which is this great linguistics metaphor.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah.
Because usually when people say we speak different languages, they mean, like, he likes football and I like pottery.
No, this is much more fundamental. I mean, think about it literally. If your native language is English and your spouse speaks Chinese, you can be the most sincere, loving person in the world.
Yeah.
You can stand there and scream, I love you, in perfect English with your whole heart. But to them, it's just noise, it's gibberish.
That is such a frustrating image. You're trying so hard, but the message just is not landing.
Precisely. And in a marriage, sincerity isn't enough. We naturally express love in our primary language. It's what makes sense to us. But if your partner's emotional dictionary is different, they won't feel love.
They'll just feel empty.
They'll feel empty. And that leads right into this central concept of the love tank.
Right. This is from Dr. Ross Campbell.
Yeah, he coined this. And just visualize it. A fuel tank inside every person. When that tank is full, the world looks bright, you feel secure, you can handle stress.
But when it's empty?
You feel used, the world looks dark. And Chapman makes a really interesting point here. He says a huge amount of misbehavior, whether it's an acting out kid or a grumpy spouse, is just a reaction to an empty tank.
They're running on fumes.
Completely. But before we get to filling the tank, we have to address why that guy in the plane felt the love evaporate. Because he felt like he'd been tricked.
He was, in a way.
He was tricked by his own biology. We have to make a really hard distinction between falling in love and, real love.
Chapman calls this the in-love experience, the obsession phase.
And psychologists, specifically Dr. Dorothy Tenoff, they call this limerence. And it is so crucial to understand this phase is not an act of will.
You don't choose it.
You don't choose it. It's instinctual. It's a temporary collapse of your ego boundaries.
That explains Janice.
Oh, Janice.
The story in the book where she comes into the office, just skipping, absolutely glowing, because she met a guy named David. She's known him for 1 week.
A week.
And she tells Chapman, he's perfect. He's everything I've ever wanted.
And the reality is that David has been married twice, has 3 kids he barely sees, can't hold a job down.
But she can't see any of that. The limerence filter just blocks out all the red flags. She's high on the hormones.
And here's the cold bucket of water. Chapman cites Tenoff's research on how long this actually lasts. The average lifespan of this romantic obsession is 2 years.
2 years.
That's it.
That is terrifyingly short. I mean, you sign a lifetime contract based on a feeling that has a 24-month expiration date.
It's sort of nature's way of getting us to, mate. But eventually, the clouds part. You come down, you notice the hairs in the sink.
You realize they chew with their mouth open.
You argue about money. And this is the crash. This is exactly where the guy on the plane gave up.
So is the argument that we're doomed?
No, not at all. The argument is that this is where real love begins. Because real love is volitional. It is a choice.
It's work.
It's discipline to love someone when the tingles are gone and they are being seriously annoying. You have to switch engines, from the autopilot of limerence to the manual transmission of the love languages.
Okay, so let's get into the manual transmission. Let's decode these languages. The first one is words of affirmation.
I can live for 2 months on a good compliment, Mark Twain.
Great quote.
Okay.
But I feel like this one gets misunderstood. People think it's just, flattery. Oh, nice dress, honey.
And it has to be genuine or it completely backfires. But the power here is immense. Chapman tells this story about a woman who had been nagging her husband to paint the bedroom for 9 months.
9 months. 9 months of when are you going to paint the room? You're so lazy. You never do what you say you're going to do.
I can just hear the tone. It's dripping with contempt.
And the husband, he just dug his heels in. So Chapman gives her this radical advice. He tells her, stop. Do not mention the bedroom again.
That sounds completely counterintuitive.
It does. But instead, he told her to compliment him on anything he actually did do.
Like what?
Taking out the trash, painting the electric bill. Just notice the good stuff and say it out loud.
And?
Within 3 weeks, he painted the bedroom.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't that just manipulation? I'll say nice things so you do my chores.
It walks a very fine line, but the difference is the intent and the result. Nagging is a demand, right?
Right.
It puts you in a parent role and him in a child role.
And no one wants that. No. But affirmation creates a partnership. He painted the room not because he was forced to, but because he finally felt appreciated. His tank was getting filled, so he had the energy to give back.
That makes sense. It changes the entire climate of the house.
Exactly. And we have to talk about dialects here, too. It's not just compliments. There's also encouraging words.
To inspire courage.
Yes. If your spouse is insecure about a career change, your words can be the fuel they need to take that leap. But the biggest dialect, it's tone.
Oh, tone is the killer.
It's everything. You can say, I love you with kindness, or I love you like a question, or I love you with sarcasm. If your spouse is a words of affirmation person, a harsh tone isn't just annoying.
It's a knife wound.
It drains the tank instantly.
Which brings us to a language where words sort of don't matter at all. The second language, quality time.
And let's be very clear what this is not. It is not sitting on the couch staring at your phones with Netflix playing in the background.
But we're in the same room. We're together.
That's proximity. That is not togetherness. Quality time means undivided attention, eye contact, listening.
You're saying you are the most important thing in my world right now.
Exactly. And this is where the source material gets into the personality types, which I found hilarious but also painfully accurate. The Dead Sea and the Babbling Brook.
It's the classic sitcom marriage pairing.
It really is, but the psychology is fascinating. The Dead Sea is the person with a huge reservoir. They take in info, feelings, experiences, and they just hold it. They're perfectly happy driving for hours without saying a word.
And the Babbling Brook.
Whatever enters the eye or ear comes out the mouth immediately. If they don't say it, they don't really know it.
And they always seem to marry each other.
They do. And here's the trap. At first, it's this great unconscious pact. The Dead Sea loves it because they don't have to talk. They can just listen.
And the Brook loves it because they have an audience that never interrupts. It's perfect.
For a while.
Until it isn't.
Right. 5 years later, the limerence fades. The Brook wakes up and says, we never talk. You don't even know me. And the Dead Sea goes, I know you too well. I've been listening for 5 years straight.
The silence stops feeling like listening and starts feeling like ignoring.
Exactly. If you're a Dead Sea married to a Brook, you have to learn to flow. You have to learn to talk. That is their language.
Okay, let's pivot. Language number 3. This one often gets a bad rap. Receiving gifts.
Yeah, people hear this and they immediately think materialism.
Or gold digger.
Right. But Chapman insists that is a fundamental misunderstanding of the language.
So it's not about the price tag.
Not at all. It's about the visual symbol of love. The thought made visible. It's the proof. He was thinking of me. It can be a flower you plucked from the yard. It can be a candy bar.
It's the gesture.
It's the gesture. And to a person with this language, the absence of these symbols makes them question if you even know they exist. And there's a variation on this that really hit me hard. The gift of self.
The gift of presence. Yeah, this one's heavy.
It's the idea that in a crisis, you are the gift. Your physical presence is the symbol.
The story about this.
Yeah.
It was brutal. The husband who played softball.
This is a perfect example of a translation error causing a catastrophe. So you have this couple. The wife is in labor. The husband is there. He's supportive. But once the baby is born and everyone is stable,
he leaves to play a softball game.
And then it happens again. When her mother dies,
it does it again.
He attends the funeral. But afterwards, the team has a game and he goes.
I mean, just hearing that, my gut reaction is, what a jerk.
And that's the easy reaction. But let's try to look at it from his perspective. He's thinking logically. The baby is born, everyone is healthy, the funeral is over, I can't bring her mom back, I need to blow off some steam. He thinks he's done his duty.
But to her,
To her, it was emotional abandonment. Her language was receiving gifts, specifically the gift of presence. By leaving, he was sending a message that said, softball is more important than your grief.
wow.
It almost destroyed their marriage because he was speaking logic and she needed him to speak love.
That's a powerful reminder that being there is about priority, not just attendance. Okay, next up. Number 4, acts of service.
This is the actions speak louder than words crowd. Cooking a meal, vacuuming the floor, changing diapers.
But there is a huge danger here, the whole doormat syndrome.
Massive danger. We said it earlier, real love is a choice. You cannot demand service. If you say, if you loved me, you'd clean this house, you've stopped asking for love.
You've started demanding slavery.
And no one falls in love with a slave driver.
The story of Mark and Mary really illustrates this. They were just miserable. Mary resented Mark's hunting, and Mark resented the messy house.
And the psychology of Mark is so interesting here. Before they got married, Mark did everything.
Right, he helped with her school projects, did the dishes.
So he knew how to do it, but he was doing it to win her. That was the courtship. Once he won her and they got married, he reverted to the model of husband he grew up with. His father, who didn't do housework. So he just stopped. And Mary felt like the bait and switch had happened. She's thinking, who is this guy?
So how did they fix it? Because that seems like a direct path to divorce.
They had to stop the criticism. They sat down and each made a list. Just 3 or 4 specific requests, not demands.
What were they?
Mark said, I'd really like the bed made. Mary said, I'd love it if you washed the car.
It seems so simple. Almost too simple.
It is simple, but it's profound. When Mark washed the car, he wasn't just removing dirt, he was filling Mary's tank. He was saying, I value you enough to do this thing that isn't natural to me. And when the tank fills up, the resentment starts to drain away.
All right, let's talk about the final language. Number 5, physical touch.
And we have to get the giggles out of the way. This is not just about the bedroom.
Though that is certainly part of it.
It is, but for a touch person, it's so much more. It's holding hands, a back rub, a hand on the shoulder as you walk by. And this isn't just a preference, it's physiology.
The touch receptors.
All over the body. For a person with this language, a hug actually lowers their cortisol and spikes their oxytocin. When you withhold touch from them, you are not just being cold. You are physically starving them of emotional regulation.
That puts the story of Pete and Patsy in a totally new light. Pete was the guy who withdrew to his computer.
He was spending hours every night just staring at the screen. Patsy thought he was ignoring her, but the reality was Pete felt totally and completely rejected. He told Chapman he had waited 6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks for Patsy to just initiate a hug or a kiss, and she didn't.
That's a long time to wait for water in a desert.
Exactly. To him, her lack of touch was a scream of rejection, so he retreated to the computer where he felt safe. But Patsy, her language was quality time. She just thought, oh, he's busy. She had no idea the damage she was doing.
The classic translation error again.
But once she initiated, just a kiss before he sat down or holding his hand, Pete became a new husband. The computer didn't matter anymore because his biological need for connection was finally met.
So we've got words, time, gifts, service, and touch. The big question is, how do I know which one I am? Because I feel like I kind of like all of them.
And most people appreciate all 5, but usually there is one that, if it's missing, you feel absolutely nothing. Chapman suggests 3 questions to pin it down.
Okay, hit me.
First, what hurts the most? If your spouse criticizing you just crushes you more than anything else, your language is likely words of affirmation.
And if they forget your birthday?
It's probably gifts. Pain points to the need.
That's a good diagnostic.
Yeah.
What's number 2?
What do you request most? If you are constantly nagging about the lawn or the dishes, you're not just being annoying, you are pleading for acts of service.
And the 3rd?
Because this one's tricky. How do you express love? We naturally tend to give love in the way we want to receive it.
Oh, that's interesting.
So if you're constantly buying little gifts for your spouse, that's probably your language. You're projecting your needs onto them.
So if I'm vacuuming the house every day, hoping you'll notice, I'm probably an acts of service person, even if you couldn't care less about the vacuuming.
Exactly. You're speaking your language to them, hoping they'll learn it and reply in kind.
Okay, so we've decoded the languages.
Yeah.
We know how to identify them. But life is chaotic. We're tired. We're busy. How do you actually do this on a Tuesday night when you're exhausted?
Chapman has a little game for this. It sounds a bit cheesy, but couples swear by it. It's called the tank check.
How does that work?
3 nights a week, you just ask your partner, on a scale of 0 to 10, how full is your love tank tonight?
That takes some guts. What if they look at you and just say 0?
Then you swallow your pride and you ask the follow-up question, what can I do to help fill it?
That is vulnerable.
It is, but think about what that does. It shifts the dynamic from, you're such a jerk, you never meet my needs, to, I want to love you, just tell me how. It turns love back into that volitional choice we talked about.
And I guess that's the main takeaway, isn't it? The tingles are great, but you can't build a life on them.
You really can't. The in-love phase is a chemical high. It's great while it lasts. But true emotional health comes from choosing to speak your partner's language, even when, and maybe especially when, it feels unnatural to you.
Yeah.
If their language is acts of service and you're a words person, vacuuming the floor is going to feel like learning a foreign grammar. You might hate it, but you do it because you know it communicates I love you to them.
It's about leaving your comfort zone to make them feel secure.
That's the definition of love.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with something to chew on. We've talked a lot about tanks and languages.
So I'd ask you, the listener, this. Look at your relationship right now. Are you loving your partner in your language or in theirs?
And if you look at them and you think they're being difficult or distant or nagging, just stop and ask yourself, is their tank empty?
And can you really expect them to be the partner you want them to be if they're running on fumes?
That's the question. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.